Ladies and gentlemen, there's no need to fear because despite the snow, the Resport podcast is still here, aka the RRS pod. Yeah, I'm a day late. Sorry about it because myself, and the entire city of Syracuse was assassinated yesterday by 2 feet of snow. So all the buildings on campus, including the little shack of a studio where I record this thing, were closed. So I couldn't get in, and I didn't want to record in my dorm and harass my roommate like that because he knows, he knows where I sleep and where all my valuables are, so it's, probably not a good idea to test the limits. But yeah, here I am. Once again, the rest of that, I can't remember the rest of the words of that Kelly Clarkson song. I got a couple things to talk about this week. Woohoo, boy. I got not 1 page, not 2 pages, but 2.5 pages. Thought I was going to say 3. 2.5 pages. That's pretty significant. Always, so when I rap, I'll say something significant, but now I'm talking about money, hoes, and something again. That's a Kanye line. Sorry, I can't even do it justice. But I should actually start talking about sports because that's what this is supposed to be about. So, what should I start with? Actually, no, I'm not going to start with the first thing I wrote down. Normally, I start stream of consciousness. The first thing I write down on my sheets is what I begin with. Not today, because I have a claim. Hot takes! Hot take alert. Zaza Pachulia is not only the dirtiest player in basketball, he is the dirtiest player in all of sports that I have ever seen in my entire life. If you don't know who Zaza Pachulia is, Google background goon in Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and his face will probably pop up, because they're the same exact thing. Zinger! Zaza Pachulia is a backup forward for the Golden State Warriors, who, call me crazy, somehow again, is involved in a suspected intentional injury. We didn't actually. All right, let me rephrase this. Zaza Pachulia likes to try to injure people and then pretend like he didn't try to injure them. That's probably a good way to say it. Sure, why not? So, the most recent offense of this is, I try to think of a good phrase for it. He basically power bombed, like a wrestling move, power bombed Russell Westbrook's ankle and leg as he was on the ground. You can look up the play. It's all over the internet. I don't have the technical capabilities to put it in a video because I'm not paying all this money for Adobe Premiere and all these softwares. I'm going to find a way to steal it. Don't tell the government. So I can't put the video up, but you can look it up. Type in Zaza Pachulia dirty, and it'll pop up. I guarantee it. Russell Westbrook is on the ground. So is Nick Young, fellow Golden State Warrior. And Zaza Pachulia, he's standing upright, sees this man in front of him, and just falls on him. He's not even good at this, right? He does this all the time. I'll go through the examples in a minute. Tries to injure people and then acts like he didn't. Like, sort of like a Grayson Allen type deal where, like, I didn't really mean to trip him. My leg has a mind of its own. It's like that thing. But he doesn't even do a good job of it. He's not even good at it. It'd be one thing if he were, like, somewhat adept at convincing people that these weren't intentional acts. He's terrible at it. This is the most egregious example thus far, I'd say. Straight up, from a standing position, falls, like, facing forward, and then rolls all over Russell Westbrook's legs. It's just a fall. He's just clumsy. Kevin Durant, when they asked him, like, so your boy's a dirty player, right? He was like, nah, he's just clumsy. Now, listen, Kevin Durant, I know you can't actually say that your teammate is the filthiest player in all of sports, but, I mean, we all saw through that nonsense. He is. He's disgusting. He has no place in the league. There's no room in the NBA or sports in general for Zaza Pachulia and people like him. He doesn't serve any purpose. He serves no purpose to anyone as an individual player. Nobody in the history of humankind has ever gone to a basketball game and been like, man, I can't wait to see Zaza Pachulia go out and ball. That's never happened, and it never will happen, because he sucks. He's a bad basketball player. He's bad at it. He's bad at it. And he's been playing for like 12 years or something. Man's old as hell, still out here grinding. You ever notice how nobody talks about Zaza? No one would know who Zaza Pachulia is if not for these ridiculous attempted injury things he's doing, right? He's not a good player. His name is only ever attached to good players because that's who he tries to assassinate. No one's ever talked about Zaza's numbers or a cool play he's made. No, he sucks. He's always sucked. All he is a mindless goon who goes out there to maim actually good players. Kawhi Leonard. I won't get in it. Listen, is it really just? I'll go into those examples in a minute. Kawhi Leonard. Sorry. Now listen, for the people who say you can't say he's a dirty player because there's no beyond a reasonable doubt or whatever. This is America. First of all, you've ever seen Making a Murderer and what happened to Stephen Avery? You know that reasonable doubt does not exist in this country. Second of all, is it just a coincidence that this man keeps getting his name attached to all these questionable plays? Is it really just a coincidence? Huh? I don't mean to go all conspiracy theory on you, but where there's smoke, there's fire, right? At a certain point, there's a whole lot of smoke. People are getting asphyxiated all over the place, and you're telling me there's no fire? You're telling me this is just coincidence? Really? No, it's not. Past examples, ladies and gentlemen. I got them listed out. Now, keep in mind, these are not all the time Zaza has forgotten the rules of basketball and just tried to maim another individual. These are just the most glaring examples and the most YouTubeable ones, I'll say. The ones that you can most easily type into YouTube and search them and find them and watch them for yourself. We talked about the Russ one, which might be his most egregious. That's the most recent one. The other famous one, also pretty recently, is in the Western Conference Finals last year when Kawhi Leonard, already kind of banged up, goes up for a three in the corner. And Zaza does a closeout on him, right? Yeah, everyone closes out. But instead of stopping like he's supposed to, he didn't even run into him. He stuck his grimy little feet underneath Kawhi as he was landing. Kawhi lands on his foot, messes up his ankle, and he's done for the series. Now, that one really pisses me off. Especially how at the end of that play, he's like jumping and hopping away like, oh, I got away with it. No one's going to catch me. God, I'm really angry at this. I'm genuinely pissed off that this guy's allowed to play and he does things like this. Kawhi is a phenomenal basketball player, MVP candidate that year. And not to mention that in that series, really, that injury may have changed the entire course of NBA history. The Spurs were doing just fine in that series, if I recall correctly. They had a shot to win. They were really giving the Warriors a run for their money, led by Kawhi. And then, kind of what I talked about last week, you have these teams with raw talent, and you have these teams that are just coached up. The Spurs at that point were a team that were coached up by Pop, but also had immense raw talent because of the way Kawhi was playing. And you take that away, and now it's no longer a contest, and the Warriors waltz on, and they go and they destroy the Cavs, and they win the title. There's a what if factor there that really bothers me because we didn't get to see full strength Spurs and full strength Warriors for a full series because of Zaza Pachulia. Because of him, such an opportunity has been squandered, and we all have to miss out on that because of him, because of this talentless. I'll get into it, all right? That's the other a famous example, right? The Kawhi thing, ruining his ankle, the closeout. There's also, oh my God, that was a terrible voice crack. There was also one time, no one's going to remember any of these, so I'm just going to run through them. But again, Google them. There's this ridiculous, backwards, elbow/headbutt he does on Nikola Mirotic, a couple years ago. They were also in the playoffs. This happened. It was weird. It was this play where they're on the ground with the ball. They're fighting for the ball, and then the play gets whistled dead, and then Zaza is like in front of him, seated on the ground, upright, and behind him is Mirotic. But they're like, I call it bobsled position, because they're in that like hand on the shoulder, they're gonna start leaning back and forth, doing the whole thing. That's what it's like. I guess it's a luge or 2-man luge. I don't know, whatever the one with 2 people is. Zaza's in the front, Mirotic is in the back. Zaza plays over. He's standing straight up, so's Mirotic right behind him. Throws his head back and one of his elbows just to be a jerk, just to be a bad person trying to hurt another person's career just because he doesn't have one. It's not even, again, none of these are good fakes. None of these are good, like, ooh, maybe you didn't do it. No, they're all pretty egregious. Straight up, backward elbow, headbutts Mirotic. Then, he has the ball in, like, the elbow when he's playing for the Mavericks in a different scenario. Ball in the elbow, squaring up David West. And he's like, he gets upset that David West is actually playing defense, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he forgot that that's allowed in basketball. And he's swinging his elbows in front of him all crazy. And then he just straight up, like, throws a bow right into the chin of David West. And David West takes it like a champ, first of all, because he's a very scary man. And second of all, I don't know why you'd want to tangle with David West. That's like bottom 5% of dudes you want to tangle with in the NBA. David West is the kind of guy who will pull out a Glock from his shorts on the court, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know he had that." And then while you're thinking that, he pops you in the head, and then shouts, I don't know, West Side or something, flashes some signs, and then leaves. That's what I feel like. David West is scary. He scares me. All right, I'm not going to mess with David West if I'm an NBA player. But Zaza, brain dead as he is, decides to do that and almost gets clapped in that game. But David West, he knows that everyone knows he can, end your life in a moment's notice. So he just kind of stepped back and is like, "You really want to do this, my guy? You really want to do this?" In the same game, there's like a scuffle for the ball. This is against the Spurs, I might add. Dallas with Zaza against the Spurs. With, you guessed it, Kawhi. This has something to do with him. There's like a scrap for the ball around the top of the key, and it ends up squirting away, gone up court, stolen by the Mavericks. Zaza and Kawhi who were previously scrapping for the ball. Kawhi is like trying to get up the court. Zaza, as he's falling to the ground, again, the ball is 10 feet away from the guys at this point. Ball's nowhere near the play. Kawhi's trying to get back and play defense. As he's trying to, Zaza, falling to the ground, just grabs Kawhi's arm and, he tries to yank it out of his socket. Like an animal. It's not even good. He's just trying to break his arm. He's trying to deprive us of an awesome basketball player. It's just... It's oh my God, it's really upsetting. My God. Another example. He tries, unsuccessfully, to drag down Udonis Haslem from the Heat a couple years ago as Zaza's falling out of bounds. I'll describe it from the beginning. Zaza's falling out of bounds, backwards to try and get, he was going for a steal or something. He's falling out of bounds, facing inbounds, falling out of bounds, and plays, he lost, he couldn't get the ball, yeah. So he just drags Udonis Haslem down with him. Again, Udonis Haslem doesn't have the ball. He just drags him down. Try to hurt him too, why don't you? And he doesn't, like I said, unsuccessfully, doesn't actually get Haslem to the ground, but he, definitely tries. So Haslem's looking at him like, what are you doing, my guy? What are you doing, bro? What you doing, man? And in response to that, instead of using his words like a grown adult, use your words, Zaza. He just, starts kicking him. He tries to kick him from the ground. Unreal. He also, there's another example. Look, I got tons of examples. And like I said, these aren't the only ones. After a made foul shot on Zaza's team, as he's going back up the court, the other team has the ball, they're inbounding it, he just slaps Luke Babbitt in the face for no reason. As he's walking up, he, like, just looks at Luke Babbitt, this white bull who plays for the Heat, I think, at that time. And he just slaps him in the face. Open hand slap right to the face as he's running by. Like, again, how's that an accident? Oh, does your hand have a mind of its own, Zaza? You maniac. Another time, he was playing against Dwight Howard, and they're like scrapping for the ball underneath the basket, basically puts him in a headlock, trying to like intentionally foul him. Look, I guess he's trying to send him to the line at the end of the game or something. I can't remember it exactly. But there's better ways to foul than putting a guy in a wrestling move. Ridiculous. That's just what I wrote down. Those are the YouTubeable ones. More than this, even. Search up Zaza Pachulia Dirty compilation, and then you'll find plenty. Plenty. Could you imagine? Here's what I can't get over. Could you imagine if Russell Westbrook, prime Russell Westbrook, was ripped from the NBA and all its fans because Zaza Pachulia just had to roll all over his ankle? Could you imagine? We don't get to watch the most entertaining basketball player I've ever seen because of Zaza Pachulia. His name is Zaza. That's his real name. I'm trying so hard I'm trying really hard not to curse in this because I want to get a job at some point. God. The sacrifices I make. My God. Zaza is his name. Not even a stage name for like a really bad like pop singer. His name is Zaza, and he's going to take away the Brody, Russell Westbrook, from the world. Do you imagine? That's why he can't be allowed in the league. That's why I still can't get over it. If Russell Westbrook was removed from the league, if his career was put in danger by this talentless, underhanded, oafish, blockheaded, useless, reductive, inconsiderate, devious, maniacal, moronic, no good, scheming, poor excuse for a basketball player, and citizen of the earth named Zaza Pachulia. Because of that guy. He needed to be banished from the league a long time ago. All these examples, they're not new. Long time. We have plenty of evidence. We could drown this man in evidence. He needed to be gone from the league a long time ago. He adds 0, and he takes away a lot. What's the point? Right? Could you imagine if this happened to your favorite player? I'll use myself as an example. Imagine if Joel Embiid just finished dunking all over Steph Curry or something. He's on the ground, and Zaza falls on him, pops out some ligaments or God knows what, and then JoJo's career is done. Insert your favorite player for that position. What if it was LeBron? What if it was Kevin Durant? What if it was anybody? I'm sure Russell Westbrook is a lot of people's favorite player. Could you imagine? I'm still have JoJo in my mind. If this happened to Joel Embiid and it hurt his career, if that actually happened, I'm pretty sure myself and the rest of Philly would either... I think there is a legitimate possibility that somebody would straight up murder Zaza Pachulia. I think that could actually happen. Right? It's that rage inducing for many people. There's a chance if someone in the crowd isn't going to straight up kill him, like actually murder him for this, I mean there's going to be a hefty hit on him, right? A very lucrative contract for his death is going to be put out there on the internet, the dark web, right next to where you buy weed and whatever else. I don't know if GoFundMe or Kickstarter has a rule against raising money for a contract killing, but I mean, we're going to try. There's going to be an attempt made. Attempts on his life, dude. Like, we're talking real. We're getting real reckless. Real in the field. If such a thing were to occur. And I don't feel bad about it. I looked up his stats. Guess what Zaza Pachulia's stats are? Guess. Did you guess 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists a game? Keep in mind, that's on the Golden State Warriors, the greatest semblance of basketball talent this country has ever seen. So, like, why him? Why does he have to be in the league? He doesn't do anything special. He doesn't bring any individual talent to any team. Why does he have to be in the league? I'll volunteer as tribute. I bet I could put up that stat line on the Warriors if I took Zaza's minutes. And I guarantee you, I'm not going to try and ruin any careers of the most talented players of our generation while I'm doing it. You really have to try and ruin the league while you're getting your 6-5-2, Zaza? You really do? You have to? You have to deprive the world, all the kids watching these games, of the basketball greats that they want to grow up to be like? You got to do it? You got to ruin the culture? There's a siren outside. I don't think you can hear that, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of sirens if Zaza does that to JoJo. I'll tell you that right now. Gunshots. He's 34 as well. I mentioned he's old. Man's 34. Can you just retire? If Adam Silver is going to bring down the band hammer, can you at least retire? Can you just do the world a favor, please? He doesn't do anything except hurt people. There's no reason for him to be in the league. Doesn't add anything. I use the word reductive. He just takes. He's a taker. He takes and takes and takes from the league and from everybody. It doesn't give anything back worth watching. I said he's the most dirty player in all of sports. And there's some other great ones. I think the other two guys I would put in the running for that category are Ndamukong Suh for kicking guys in the crotch from the ground in multiple games and all sorts of dirty hits and all those things. So I made up a nursery rhyme for him. Ndamukong Suh will kick you in the crotch, but Zaza will put your career in a box. Say what you want about Suh. He's not trying to end your career. He's trying to end the prospect of you ever having children sometimes, but that's not your career. The international folks out there would say Luis Suarez is the dirtiest player ever. Because that's the guy, for the Americans who don't care about soccer like me, he's the guy who tried to bite people's ears in like the World Cup and in Spain where he plays. Suarez will bite your ear, don't get me wrong. But Zaza will end your career. I keep coming back to this. Again, these are thoughtless acts by these other gentlemen. But I mean, they're not going to like ruin your career and your family's chance of being rich and making money and building equity. You know, they're taking away some things, but they're not ruining your entire career like Zaza. Zaza is despicable. And listen, there's no defense for this. You are delusional. You are deluding yourself if you think that that this play isn't dirty and that Zaza isn't dirty. You can't give me a good reason for not kicking this guy out of the league. Because as I said, he's a taker. He doesn't add anything. He just retracts. There's no good reason. There's no good reason. I challenge you to come up with one. Throw it in the comments, and I'll roast you right back. I saw my guy Colin Coward, saying this wasn't a dirty play. Because, Nick Young's foot is pulling him. You know, he tapped him in the back of the knee. So therefore, this giant man comes tumbling down directly on Russell Westbrook's legs and his ankle. Also, please hire me, Colin Coward, in a couple of years. I'd like to get a job. I think it's a great opportunity. But also, you're a moron for this one. You just are. You're crazy. You're crazy. You're a crazy person. You're a raving maniac. If you think that Nick Young's foot, a little tap-taparoo from Nick Young's foot is enough to topple this large Eastern European man. No, miss me with that. Miss me with it. It's outrageous. All right. So I have a whole other rest of the show to do. But I just did like 25 minutes on how Zaza Pachulia is the scum of the earth and should be treated and regarded as such, and he really should. He really should. You don't believe me? Watch the video. Watch the videos. Watch the videos. Speaking of scum of the earth, the NCAA is corrupt. I don't know if you heard. Breaking news: the NCAA is not a clean-cut business, as it turns out. Real shocker. Arizona head coach Sean Miller got opped by the feds. Let me repeat that. Arizona head coach Sean Miller got opped by the feds. The federal government cracked down on this man when no one else would. Oh my God. Because he, among other things probably, he allegedly paid $100,000 to an agent to eventually get to young freshman star DeAndre Ayton, so he would go there. By the way, that's a beast play by my guy out here, making beast plays. $100K for this man. That's a bargain. You have any idea how much money DeAndre Ayton is bringing to that university right now? That's a small price to pay. Again, a very legal price to pay, but still, small price to pay. So beast play to the Bull, but then again, he got opt. So how much of a beast play is it really? I know a thing or two about making beast plays and getting opt. Anyway, there's also lists the FBI released of many current and former NCAA basketball stars. So, sorry, Title IX. These are all NCAA men's basketball player who were recruited in shady ways. Now, there's a large variance, of people getting paid X amount of money or this and that and other favors. I'm not saying they're going to Louisville and hiring strippers to welcome them to the university. But again, this is all alleged. None of it's proved yet. It's going to go through the court, so I don't want to get. I'm not eligible for libel. All right, don't sue me. No one's going to sue me. Probably. Please don't. But nothing happened after all this. All this is out there. This is very creditable too. You're going to tell me the FBI doesn't have any idea what they're talking about? About this? Really? NCAA heard it all, and their reaction was to open up the rug and sweep it all down there, along with all the other nonsense. Nothing happened. Nothing happened when this came out. This bull, Sean Miller, he took off one game. He wasn't penalized, suspended from coaching. He took like a personal day to miss one game, and then he came right back and acted like nothing could happen. He went to the Big Sean school of bouncing back. Last night he took an L when the FBI report got released, but tonight he bounced back. If you didn't know by now, the NCAA is so corrupt to a ridiculous extreme that even they don't care if they get caught. They don't even care. They got caught. They got opped by the feds. And they don't even care. It changes nothing for them. It changes nothing. If anyone who follows sports at all knows that this type of thing was happening, we knew that this was happening. Basically, how could it not? All the home over here, something over here. Yeah, we know. We hear the things, but now it's in paper from the feds, and nothing happens. NCAA doesn't even care. Basically, what they said is they got caught and. You got us. What are you going to do? It's what I do. It's what we do over here. Yeah, you got me. I love it. Like, so is this a catalyst for change? Does this mean something's going to happen now, finally? After this nonsense? Are they just going to vacate more wins and act like games that everyone saw didn't happen? Is that their answer for this again? Which, by the way, is the most ridiculous, quote-unquote, punishment. Like, putting people in timeout would be a more effective punishment than vacating their wins. And it'd make more sense, too. Are they finally going to pay the players? Like, for real? Finally? Treat them like the assets they are to these multi-million-dollar companies, like $1 billion industry the NCAA is? Are they actually going to treat them as such? Or if they're not going to pay them, or they at least allow them to going to get paid? Like, these Bulls can even sign autographs for money right now? That's kind of absurd. Like, Jameis Winston had to steal a bunch of crab legs to feed himself. Don't make these Bulls steal crab legs, all right? Just, if you're not going to pay him, let him get paid by brands through endorsements or sign stuff and get paid. Anything, all right? That's not any skin off you guys. Like, come on. You're not giving up anything. Just let the men live, for God's sake. Luka Doncic, ever heard of him? You're gonna. He's a top 3 pick in this year's NBA draft. Plays overseas. Never touched the NCAA. He signed his first professional contract at 13 years old. He's been a professional player since he was 13. Nobody blinks in Europe. Kids in soccer get picked up when they're like 9 years old to sign contracts. Nobody blinks because they are assets for these companies. They ought to be paid. There's a thing called child labor. I'm not sure if it's child labor, but I mean, how far away is it really? Like, come on, get with the program, let the players make some money. Then you don't have this ridiculous nonsense that you have to sweep under the rug and vacate more wins. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. What else do I have? Oh yeah, I made a list. I stole this idea straight from Colin Cowherd because I'm not original. Hire me. He did a list not too long ago of his top 10 most valuable quarterbacks. Now, these are not the top 10 best quarterbacks today. This is if you're starting a franchise, you have your pick of all the quarterbacks in the NFL. Who do you pick? Who do you start your franchise with? So a big factor in that is their age. How much time are you going to have with these guys? How good are they already, and how many years are you going to have with them to build your franchise? So Tom Brady, probably still maybe the best quarterback out there. Man's 40, so that kind of goes against him in this kind of scenario. So I looked at it, and this should give you a nice... I think what people's lists would be, if they sat down and did one for this, would tell you a lot about how they feel about the NFL and the landscape that we're looking at. And you're going to gain that from me. I also haven't done anything really football in a while because it's the offseason. The only thing going on right now is like the combine. Saquon Barkley is evidently like a Terminator based off those results, but like I'm not going to bore you with the combine all day. I almost said with the Columbine. That's a very different thing. I'm not going to bore you with the combine all day, so I figured I'd throw some football in here somehow. So football. Top 10 most valuable quarterbacks today. Number 10, Andrew Luck. Now, I don't like Andrew Luck. I don't think he's that great. I think he's very overrated. It was really between him and Cam Newton on my list of like eliminations. But I went with him because he's 28. He does have the injury history, obviously. He's also kind of a weirdo. I don't know if you've seen any of his like NFL films, sound FX things they do, like mic'd up. But every time he gets clapped by like a defensive end, he's always saying, "Hey, nice hit, buddy." Like maybe that's funny once in a while, but he does it a lot. He's really overly nice, and it bothers me. He's like one of these guys gonna pop up at your door, asking, "Have you heard the good news? Join the Mormons," or whatever the hell. You know, he's like one of these guys. It seems like I don't really like that run of my franchise, but he's probably pretty talented. You know, he was doing pretty well for a while there. The problem is now I don't even know how good he is exactly. This happens with a lot of teams, and people don't like to recognize it. In the NFL especially, you can't even tell how good a player is sometimes because their team is so messed up and terrible. It's really difficult to tell how good the guy actually is. He's had no offensive line. He's had no run game. Barely had any wide receivers. Like, how good is Andrew Luck really? I don't know. For sure. I know he's pretty good. But there's a wide spectrum there, so I'm hesitant to put him on. But I threw him at number 10. Number 9. Dak Prescott. Eagles fans, my guys, I know. It's hard to say. But he's a good quarterback. He's 24. Plenty of years left to go. He's mobile, but he's one of these guys who might be a little bit too mobile. He's definitely built. He's not like Michael Vick, who's like 150 pounds. Built like an actual green bean, but still out there running sprints. He's not like that. He's more built than that. But I do worry about the potential for injury with him because I think he runs a little bit too much. And I think there's a chance for him to get clapped. Also, another little thing, like Andrew Luck, I can't tell how good he is because his team is terrible. Dak Prescott, I can't tell how good he is exactly because of how much support he has around him. He's got Zeke, so he's not even the first option on his own team. And he's got that awesome O-line forever. So it's hard to tell exactly how good he is in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like with an average team around him. So because these assets make him look better than perhaps he would otherwise be. But like I said, he's still very young. He's got arm talent. He's a talented guy. He can command a huddle. He can do the whole thing. So he's a good guy. I'd like to have him. I'm not going to complain if I get Dak Prescott. Just above him at number 8. Jared Goff. I threw him here. He's 23. He's definitely a pocket passer, which probably bodes well for his longevity. He's pretty good all around. I don't see him dominating in any particular aspect. Again, he's got like Todd Gurley, so he's not even the first option. So it's, again, kind of hard to tell exactly how good he is. But he's very young, and he's already doing pretty well, so there's something going on there. Number 7. I'd say Derek Carr. I really like Derek Carr. He did a down year last year. Going to see if old Johnny Gruden can get him going, but I like him. He definitely has arm talent. He has the raw talent. He didn't have really any help last year, so things were not good for Oakland, soon to be Vegas. We'll see how his career... I mean, he's 26. He's another one of these young guys, got a lot of years left. Like I said, he's very talented. He really just needs a little bit of help. He doesn't need a ton. He's one of these guys, you give him a little help, it'll go a long way, and I think he can take it really far. I don't see why he can't be a Super Bowl winner at some point in his career. He's also a very tough guy. He's a little mobile, but not like Prescott or anything, but he's tough, he's built, he's thick. I feel like he can take a beating, and he's not going to be out 10 yards out down the field taking beatings like some of these other more mobile guys. He's a guy who's going to be taking a beating in the pocket and still able to, do what he's got to do. And I like him. I've always liked Derek Carr. He's a great fantasy pickup usually. Pro tip. Number 6. This is where I landed Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady's obviously awesome. Even though he's 40 years old, I still feel like he can play for like 5 more years at a high to decent level. Greatest of all time. No need to go through his talents. Pocket guy. But like I said, really only like 5 years left. So that's why he's not higher. But an added asset, I might have put him lower, but an asset of him is that you can use him to train a guy you draft to get the thing going. If you're, like I said, you're starting a franchise, you take Brady now, and then next year you draft a guy, and you have him coach him up, a la Garoppolo, but you don't trade him away for nothing like the Patriots did. So I thought there was some value there. So 6 was a nice spot for him. 5, ironically enough, Jimmy Garoppolo. Man's 26. He's great from what we've seen. Awesome. But we haven't seen a ton of games. Haven't seen a ton from him yet. So I can't put him any higher. But he could, climb his way up the list very quickly next year in San Fran. San Fran's going to be good. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. See some more from him, and then we'll talk about it, buddy. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers. This might be a little bit low for some people with Aaron Rodgers, but compared to these other guys, he's 34, significantly older than the rest of the guys I have. Look, we all know. Stephen A. Smith said it. He's a bad man. He's a bad man. He does it all. He carries his team. There's nothing more impressive than that performance he put up against the Cowboys in the playoffs last year. That's all you need to know about Aaron Rodgers. The man's a beast. He might be the most, based on raw talent alone, without any accolades or accomplishments, he might be the best quarterback of all time. Raw talent. But, he's got the years on him, which he makes him a little bit less valuable. But there's certain teams out there, like Green Bay's going to have to figure out what they do with that team. I don't know, there's other teams out there who would not complain to have Aaron Rodgers. Hot take. 3rd, I put Russell Wilson. Just above Aaron Rodgers. That was very close because they're both guys who do it all. Russell Wilson is the entire Seattle offense. He is all of it. 100% of their offense is Russell Wilson. And he's a mobile guy, but he's not risky about it. All these guys who are mobile had some point in their career where they were getting talking real reckless and really getting clapped in the open field. Russell Wilson had that, and now he's reeled back, and he's a mobile guy, but he's not risky about it. He's 29 also. He's got 5 years on Aaron Rodgers. That was the deciding factor between those two. Russell Wilson is, I think, underrated a little bit now because of how Seattle as a team has been. But any wins they have is entirely because of Russell Wilson. Keep that in mind. Man's really good. 2nd, maybe this is surprising people, I put Deshaun Watson. Now, we haven't seen a ton like Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know he's injured, but the injury doesn't scare me because it's 2018. These surgeries are so advanced that guys come back from this all the time. I just thought I'm not really worried about like the long-lasting effects of these like ligament injuries that other people might be. I don't know. I think other people who are older have seen guys get these injuries and seen their careers never be the same. And I know Deshaun Watson's mobile. He's 22, by the way. Really young. And he's a freak athlete, and he's got a crazy arm, and he's just a baller straight up. The injury doesn't concern me that much. I really am confident he'll be back and killing it for the Texans. I really do. Hot take. First, number one, most valuable quarterback in the league right now, Carson Wentz. I'm sorry. I hate to do it to you. But, I mean, facts are facts, my man. He's 25 years old. He does it all. He has 0 holes in his game. He's a play caller. He's a big baller, a shot caller. You know? Yeah, he's the same thing with Watson. The injury's concerning, but, not really. It's not really concerning because it's 2018. He'll be back. The only thing that's concerning about it is it takes him out for, 9 to 12 months or whatever. But after that, after he's healed, it's good. He's good. Him and Watson, same day. I'm not worried about it. Sorry about it, not worried. That's my little football bit. I figured I'd throw that in there. What is this? 41 minutes we're looking at right now. Wow, look at this. This is a long podcast. Longer than usual, but I had to rip about Zaza. I can't even talk about Zaza. Yeah, man. Let me know what you think about the list. You know, I'm open to debate. It's not like I said, Garoppolo, when he plays more games, I'm going to figure out more. Even Watson hasn't really played a bad game so far because he got injured before he could play one. You know, things tend to regress to the mean, but we're going to figure out what that average is for all these guys as time goes on. I really can't even. It's amazing how the NFL season doesn't stop. I'm not done celebrating the Eagles championship, and now we got to worry about the combine and the draft. It's like, my God, dude, let me pop some brews or some Molly or something. I'm sweating out here with a championship, with a Lombardi. I won't bore you anymore with that. But yeah, that's the show this week. Day late. Sorry about it. Next week, it'll be on Friday. Actually, I get out of here on Friday. Spring break is coming. Spring break, dude. Yeah, spring break. I'm not going to the beach for spring break. I'm going to a slightly less cold place, which is really all I could ask for. But I leave on Friday when I'd normally be recording this, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But I will have a show. There will be a show either Friday or Saturday. There'll be something for your weekend. I promise. I'll figure some time out. But yeah. That's been the Resport podcast. I can't remember. Is episode 4, I think. All right. Well, yeah. See you next time.